The story begins with a large orchestra. In this large orchestra, there's a cello player. Daigo. Music is his passion, and he has a special love for the cello. And he plays it superbly. Orchestra concerts like these were once very popular, but perhaps not as popular today. The audiences who come to see their performances are dwindling by the day. At the end of the concert, the owner of the orchestra tells them that they can no longer continue the band. Our business is running at a loss, he said. This was our last concert. Hearing this, all the artists are deeply saddened, as this is not only their passion but their life, the work which you are doing with so much passion. If one day suddenly someone says that you cannot do that work, then friend, it is obvious that everyone will have difficulty in accepting it. All the poor people get heartbroken and go out sad. Daigo is also sad like others, but friends, there is another reason for his sadness, and that is that he had taken the cello which he was playing on EMI. It is a very expensive instrument. If suddenly he has lost his job, then how will he be able to pay its EMI? He returns home in this distressed manner. His wife's name is Mecha. While returning from work, she buys an octopus. She is very happy that today she will feed a good dish to the octopus. But when she learns that the orchestra has closed, she casually says, "What's there to be so sad about? If not this job, then at least take up some other job." But Daigo isn't having it so easy. He left his village with the dream of becoming a musician. He couldn't find any other work, and the work he was able to find didn't last. He finds himself in a dilemma. He says, "I don't want to live here anymore. I think I'll go back to my village. We'll live peacefully, and we'll be able to survive by doing odd jobs. How will we manage the house rent, EMIs, etc. here in the city?" But Mecha says, "Don't worry so much. I'm working right. My salary will manage for a few days." But Daigo doesn't feel like staying here. Mecha says, "Let's talk about it later." No decision made under stress is ever a good one. Anyway, I'll go cook the octopus. We'll all have a great meal. Come on, and we'll talk about this when we've calmed down a bit. Saying this, she goes into the kitchen but starts screaming. Daigo goes outside and sees that the octopus she bought is actually alive. Seeing this, they don't feel like killing it and release it back into the water. But unfortunately, it had died in the meantime. It was already in the water, so it can't be brought back. Seeing this, anyone would think that instead of releasing it back into the water, they should cook it and eat it. But Daigo thinks otherwise. He feels that whatever he tries, it ends up being the exact opposite. He searched for a job but couldn't find a decent one. He joined an orchestra, but it closed down within 2 months. At this point, Daigo decides that they'll go back to the village. That's it, finally. This time, Mecha doesn't refuse and immediately agrees, because she understands Diego's heart and understands his struggles, and doesn't want to be fooled. "You really don't mind?" he asks. "What about your job?" Toika replies. "Leave that to me. I'll find some work back in the village. I'm sure whatever you decide will be the right one." Daigo then takes his cello and returns it to the shop where he bought it on EMI. In the next scene, Daigo and Mecha are in Diego's village. There's Diego's house and a small river a short distance away. Diego's mother used to live in this house, but she passed away 2 years ago. Even then, Daigo hasn't been able to visit. He's seeing his village after many years. Diego's father is unknown, having left him and his mother when he was a child. That's why, to this day, Daigo harbors nothing but hatred for his father. Friends, there's a tea stall in front of the house that Diego's father used to run. After his death, his mother ran a bar there, and with the income from that shop, she raised Daigo. Megha loves this place, away from the noise and din of the city. This remote place is incredibly peaceful, so she cooks a dish and they eat it, only to realize that the food tastes amazing, thanks to the clean, fresh water. Daigo checks the wanted column in the newspaper. He's currently looking for a job, Any job will do because he has a family to support. A job vacancy ad reads, no age limit, no experience needed, euros, just a few hours of work and good pay. Daigo initially wonders, what kind of job is this that requires no degree, no age, no experience? The ad says, we need a departure assistant. Seeing the name, Daigo thinks it must be a travel agency. With hope, he arrives the next day and tells him, I came after seeing the vacancy ad. There's a woman named Yuriko. She makes him sit inside and says, Mr. Ken, the owner of the agency, will be arriving shortly. Daigo initially finds the place strange, as is often the case. He asks Yuriko, what kind of work is there? She replies, weren't you told what the work is? Daigo says, no, I thought it was a travel agency or a tour agency. Yuriko smiles and says, Ken will come and tell you everything. Shortly after, Ken arrives. Daigo first gives him his resume, but Daigo puts it aside and asks, whatever the job is, are you ready to do it with all your heart and soul? Daigo replies, yes, sir, I will give it my all. Ken replies, very good, you can come to work tomorrow. Daigo, startled, asks, sir, was that all? The interview, Ken replies, that's all. By the way, sir, tell me what work will be required and how much will you be paid? Ken shows 5 fingers. You mean 5,000, is that right, sir? Ken says, no, or maybe 500. Ken says, no, sir. Will you give me 500,000? He replies, yes, sir. Daigo is completely bewildered. You don't get that much salary in big cities. So what kind of work would you give me 500,000 for? Ken then explains that when someone dies, their body must be cleaned and prepared according to local rituals, then placed in a coffin to ensure a proper final farewell. That's all the work. Daigo replies, but you wrote departure assistant in the ad. So I thought it was a travel agency. That's what I came here thinking, sir. Ken asks, show me that paper. Daigo also shows it, and correcting the spelling, says, sorry, son, it was departure, not departure, meaning the one who bids farewell. With that, he quickly gives Daigo a 5,000 yen advance. Seeing the money, Daigo is speechless. For him, even getting 5,000 a month would have been a huge amount. But here, the advance is only 5,000, and the monthly salary is 500,000. So he makes up his mind that whatever the job is, it's work. Furthermore, he's not sure he'll find another job. That's why he agrees to this job. He buys some good food and takes it home. Mecha asks, where did I get the money to buy all this? Nigo replies, look, I already got a job and my boss gave me an advance. I bought it with that. Mecha is overjoyed. Guys, you got a job in just one day. That's amazing. He shows off, yes, I got it given my abilities. But Mecha keeps asking, which job did you get? What do I mean? Daigo is in a dilemma whether to tell her or not. If Mecha finds out about his work, she will definitely refuse. Since ancient times in Japan, leaving a dead body, cleaning it, and performing funeral rituals have been considered impure. So he thinks that telling her would cause problems. He also understands that those who do such work are considered lowly in society, even though their work is essential to society. Society treats them as if it has no dignity. But Daigo doesn't want to leave this job because the pay is so good. He says he's got a job at an agency that organizes family functions. Functions, I mean. Did you get a chance to play cello at weddings, birthday parties, etc.? Yes, just take it like that. Instead of answering me directly, Daigo makes a casual excuse and leaves. The next day, friends Mika lovingly bids Daigo farewell. She's thrilled that he'll play at parties and events, but she doesn't even know what kind of work he'll be doing. He's leaving. Daigo goes too. He's quite nervous, wondering what the first day will hold. What if I have to pick up a dead body? Now Ken isn't there, only Yuriko is there. She's cleaning a body box. Daigo asks, what is this? She says, what is it? Is it a body box? Diego says. I've never seen a body box. Yuriko is shocked. How is that possible? Diego says. I saw one many years ago when my grandfather died. That's why I don't remember much. Yuriko says. Don't worry. You'll see the body box every day now. Just get used to it. It's not the season for deaths right now. We do a good business during the winter because our elders die from the cold, and we get a lot of orders. That's how we work together, friends. And then Ken calls Diego and calls him to a place. Diego goes there in fear, as he's terrified of corpses and death. But there, he learns that Kane is filming an ad for his agency, demonstrating how he cleans and prepares a dead body, and the rituals that go into placing it in a coffin before sending it off for cremation. Diego asks, "What do I have to do here?" Kane gestures to a woman, and she takes Diego aside. The next scene reveals Diego dressed in a robe. In the ad, he's supposed to be a corpse, and Kane will clean and perform other rituals, demonstrating how they do it. With no other option, Diego lies down, so Kane begins to clean the corpse. Diego feels tickled, and at one point Kane goes to shape it. But the blade accidentally hits Diego's cheek, causing blood to gush out. So Diego cries like a child. They somehow finish the ad. Friends, and then Diego returns home. But seeing the bandage on his cheek, Mecca asks, "What's wrong?" He says, "Nothing happened. The boss at the agency told me to get my hair styled. I just hurt myself doing that." Mega says, "You had it done that morning." Diego replies, "Yes, I did, but 2 or 3 hairs were left. That's why the boss told me to get it styled immediately, and I did." In this way, Diego has to lie every day. The next day, Ken takes Diego to a house where an elderly woman has died, living all alone. She's been dead for 2 weeks. But no one noticed. Today, a terrible stench emanated from the house, so the neighbors informed the police. Now, someone from their agency tells them that the body has decomposed. So handle it carefully. Poor Diego begins to tremble. On top of that, it's so bad that Diego can't bear it. But Kane has a lot of experience. And by now, he's used to these things. So he goes upstairs to the room where the body is lying, kneels before it, and it seems he's treating a dead person like a god. Diego enters, holding his nose. Kane, on the other hand, doesn't consider the rotting body disgusting, nor does he consider it dirty or impure. First, he performs a ritual. Then he tells Diego to hold his feet. Kane does, but he's almost vomiting from the disgust. Then Kane quickly scolds him, asking, "Will you do such a thing?" Kane then cleans and prepares the body himself, completing all the rituals. But Diego, his friends, sits in complete shock. Kane pays Diego for today's work. He also knows that the first day of this job is very difficult. That's why he doesn't say much. To Diego, he says, "If you're not feeling well, take a day off, but I won't deduct any money from your salary. Don't worry about it." Now, Diego also comes home with money. He doesn't think he'll ever be able to do this job anymore. He takes the bus home, but some girls on the bus sit away from him. Then he realizes his body smells. He gets off at the next stop and goes to a public bathroom run by the mother of Diego's childhood friend, Takisho. Her name is Sayako. Diego first takes a bath, and Takisho sees him and asks, "When did you come back?" Sayako also speaks to Diego affectionately because she's known him since he was a child. Diego and Takisho's friendship is as old as Sayako and Diego's mother's. She asks, "Is that the friendship between her mother and her mother? You didn't even come to the funeral, son. So how are you these days?" Diego says, "I'm fine, Auntie. My wife and I have come here to settle down." Diego says, "That's great, son. Bring your wife to our house one day." Diego says okay. And when he goes home, Mecca lays out a chicken cut up, making Diego vomit. The image of the old woman's worm-infested corpse can't leave his mind. To tell him the truth, he can't sleep that night. He Goes home alone and starts thinking, just like that old woman lived in isolation. My mother lived in this village. Perhaps she died, that's why I didn't come here. I didn't get to see her face one last time. After thinking about all this, Daigo reaches a conclusion. He no longer feels disgusted by this work, and he begins to consider it sacred. He couldn't perform his mother's last rites, but now he has the opportunity to perform the last rites of others. He understands that while society may consider this work disgusting, it will bring him peace of mind. Daigo has an old cello at home with a round pebble in it. He starts playing it, and it brings him back to his childhood days when he used to play cello in front of his father. One day, on the banks of this very river, Daigo saw many beautiful pebbles, picked up a small one and gave it to his father. But he no longer remembers his father's face. Then, his father gave him a large pebble, and these were not just pebbles, but memories that father and son shared. Daigo kept the pebble in his cello. The next day, Daigo sits on the riverbank, thinking about becoming a famous cello player. He left the village and ran to the city. He hated his father, and he couldn't even attend his mother's death. While he's thinking, Kane's car arrives. He asks, "Son, do some work?" Daigo says, "Yes, of course." Then the two go to a house where a woman has died. They were a little late in leaving. The woman's husband seems quite stern and scolds them, asking why they were so late. They both apologize to him. The woman also has a daughter who is crying. Everyone is very sad, but the husband sits there like a statue, expressionless. So Kane begins his work. First, he cleans the woman's body. Then, he dresses her in a traditional dress. This is no old woman. Friends, and Kane is doing all this in front of everyone. Moreover, he treats her with full respect, not just a lifeless body. He applies some perfumed liquids to her, making her feel as if she were a living woman, not just dead. Sleeping in the coffin. Everyone cries a lot, but the husband remains utterly silent. The body is placed in the coffin, and before it is sealed, the husband is called to see her one last time. The man who had been sitting like a statue until now. And people thought he didn't love his wife at all, and that's why he wasn't crying, bursts into tears at this moment. Only he knows the state of his heart. Until now, he probably didn't even realize this was his wife. He thought it was just someone's lifeless body. But the way Ken dressed her, the way she breathed life into her lifeless face, made the poor man cry. This is my wife, and she's dead. Even after death, her face glows as bright as if she were still alive. It's like she's just sleeping. When such a heartache rages, what can one do but burst into tears? Ken and Daigo are leaving after the rituals, when the husband comes running and apologizes. "Please forgive me for scolding you for being late." He gives Ken more money and says, "I will be eternally grateful for what you did today. Now, until my last breath, I will remember this beautiful face of my wife, which you adorned." He is saddened by his wife's death, but Ken's work still brings him solace. Seeing this, Diego's heart melts, and he understands the importance and dignity of this work and decides that it is an honorable job. After this, Daigo quickly learns the job and prepares to place the bodies of many deceased in coffins and perform their last rites with great care. One day, he takes Mecha to meet Suya. Sayako had told him to bring Mecha home. The two bonded greatly. They mingle. Sayako tells Mecha, we've been running this public bathroom for many years. After my husband passed away, Takisho and I managed it. When Daigo was little, your husband would come and bathe here. He and Takisho had a lot of fun as children, bathing here together. Daigo was a very good child, but his parents were always fighting. Because of this, his father left him and his mother. Poor Daigo was devastated. What child can endure the separation of parents at such a young age? No one. He would come here and lie in the bathroom and cry loudly. I couldn't bear to see him in such a state. Then one day, he ran away from the village. I'm glad you found him, son. Take care of him. The poor boy has suffered a lot since childhood. Now Mecca understands their feelings, friends, and she also understands the hardships Daigo has endured. Daigo is taking a bath in the bathroom when he meets an old man he's known since childhood. He's been bathing here for almost 50 years. They share some old memories. Then, as Daigo and Mecca leave, it starts snowing. It would be nice to have a drink in this weather. Thinking this, they both go home and have a drink. Mecca says, all these gramophone records belonged to your father, didn't they? Your mother kept them safe until the very end. I think your mother missed your father very much. Daigo says, please don't bring up the topic of your father. I hate him. He left everything and ran away when I needed him the most. After this, the two share a brief romantic moment, and in the next scene, Daigo is sitting on the stairs outside, talking on the phone. In fact, Yuriko called him because a man had committed suicide in a hotel in town. The police had completed their work, so they had to prepare his body and perform his last rites. Ken has gone to another city, so Yuriko calls Daigo. She asks, can you do it alone? Yuriko is a little nervous, but agrees. Then, without telling Mecca, he gets ready and leaves. But Mecca wasn't asleep. She notices Daigo was talking to someone and is now on his way. The next day, Mecca sees Daigo off to work as usual, but she becomes suspicious of Diego's whereabouts. Daigo goes to the office and Yuriko tells him, you did an amazing job yesterday. The police themselves praised you. You learned the job very quickly, Yuriko. Daigo is also very happy. He asks, how did you get into this agency? Yuriko explains, I came here from another city looking for work. I even got a job at a bar here. But one day, the owner of that bar passed away, and Mr. Kane came to perform his last rites. And friends, after that, the bar never reopened because its owner had died. So Yuriko asked Ken for a job, and Ken hired her in his office. And now, after hearing this, Daigo goes home and sees Takisho. Seeing Daigo, Takisho sends his wife and child away on some pretext. But Daigo tells him privately, couldn't you find another job? Preparing, decorating, and performing funerals for corpses. Quit that disgusting job and get a decent one. Daigo can't understand how she found out about his work. When Takisho comes home, Mecca is also furious. It seems she found out too. In fact, the ad Ken shot that day, using Daigo as a corpse, is playing on TV. It's from there that Mecca and Takisho learned about Diego's work. Mika gets very angry. You've been doing this work for so long, and that too after lying to me. Please, Daigo. Listen to me, quit this job. Aren't you ashamed of doing such a thing? Daigo replies. What's there to be ashamed of? This is a virtuous act. Tomorrow I'll die. You'll die. We're all going to die, and after we die, someone will clean our bodies and perform the last rites. Think about it. If someone refuses to do this work, thinking it's disgusting and despicable, what will happen to us? Our bodies will rot and insects will eat them. So now Mika says, that doesn't mean we'll do it ourselves. You've been sleeping next to me doing this for so long. It disgusts me. Daigo also gets angry, wondering what Mika is saying. Then Mika replies, I've been doing what you want. You told me to leave the city and come to the village, so I came. I never listened to anything you said. You didn't stop me. You always did what you wanted. But please, this time you have to listen to me. But Daigo refuses. So Mega says, okay, do what you want, but I won't stay with you anymore. I'm going to my mother's house. She starts to leave. Daigo grabs her hands and legs and begs her, please, don't go. But she screams, leave me. Come for me when you stop this vile business. Otherwise, no. Poor Daigo is deeply saddened that even Mega doesn't understand him. Mega goes to her mother's house, and here Daigo continues his work diligently. Friends, he finds peace in doing this. One day, Daigo goes to perform the last rites of a young woman. She was riding a bike with her boyfriend and died in an accident. However, her boyfriend survived and comes along, suffering minor injuries. The girl's parents taunt the boy, saying, "Our daughter died because of you." Then a relative, pointing at Daigo, yells at him, "I don't care if you get such lowly work." In this way, they insult Diego's work. Daigo is deeply hurt by the thought of these people who want to prepare a dead body in this way, yet consider it lowly and dirty. Daigo is disheartened. Friends, because Mecha left him because of this work, and on top of that, he has to endure such humiliation every day. He goes straight to the office and tells Yuriko that he's quitting. She says, "Daigo, you're doing a great job and earning a lot of money. Don't quit." But he refuses. She says, "Okay, Ken is upstairs. You should tell them yourself." When Daigo leaves, Ken lovingly welcomes him and gives him something to eat. Behind him is a photo of his late wife. Ken explains, "My wife passed away 9 years ago. I cleaned her body and performed her last rites in a cradle. That was my beginning. After that, I started this agency. I don't consider it a business, but a service. The first spouse to pass away is fortunate, Daigo, and the one who survives has to endure the world's suffering. If we can do something to ease that suffering, what could be more virtuous than that? That's why I decided to do this work. And it brings me peace. That's why I'm doing it, no matter what people say. If you like it, do it. If you don't like it, don't do it. But don't give up just because people taunt you." Daigo feels as if Ken has opened his eyes. He decides to continue. The next time, Daigo prepares a dead girl in front of Ken. Ken is delighted to see his devotion. The deceased was born a boy, but later realized he considered himself a girl. Therefore, Daigo dresses him up as a girl and finally places him in a shack. As they finish their work and are about to leave, the girl's father cries bitterly. "When I learned that my son considered himself a girl, I beat him and threw him out of the house. I haven't seen him for years, but in the end, only his dead body returned home. I don't know what cruelty this world inflicted on my child that he died. In my opinion, he was a boy, but in your own opinion, he was a girl, and today you people have so beautifully dressed him up as a girl. I am so satisfied." With this, he falls at Diego's feet. And here, Daigo realizes, "My friend, this work is truly virtuous. And there are many people who consider this work virtuous." In the next scene, Daigo, Ken, and Yuriko are sitting in the office, having lunch. Daigo brings out his old cello and tells the story behind it, saying, "I can play it very well. My father taught me to play it." He asks, "Where is your father?" He says, "I don't know. I don't even remember his face. He's probably dead." His words clearly reveal his hatred for his father. Then Daigo plays the cello, and Ken, listening to its music, is lost in the memories of his wife. Yuriko's eyes also fill with tears. Perhaps there is some sadness in her life, and gradually, Daigo begins to work more than Ken. Each time he gains a new experience. Gradually, he begins to understand the reality of life. One day, everything must end, but this ending must come. We consider the passing life to be permanent, fighting and hating each other. We act like guts. One day, when Daigo returns home from work, Mecha is there. She is overjoyed and tells him she's pregnant. Hearing this, Daigo is also overjoyed. Mika says, "At least for our child's sake, can you quit this job? Please, when our child grows up, people will taunt him because of your work. Imagine how insulted our child will feel." She tries to emotionally convince Daigo. Then, he receives a call informing him that his childhood friend, Takisho's mother, Suya, has passed away. Both are deeply saddened by this news. In the next scene, they arrive at Yoko's house, where her son, Takisho, is also present. Ken has already arrived and Takisho is crying profusely. He takes one look at Daigo and instantly realizes how low he considered Diego's work that day and asked him to quit. But today, he needs Diego to clean and prepare his mother's dead body, placing it in the coffin. Suya was like a mother to both Diego and Suya. He cleans and prepares her body for the coffin. The person who prepares bodies in this way is called a mechanic, and this scene depicts that work in full. Diego then dresses her, and after putting on the new clothes, he very slowly and carefully removes her old clothes. Mecha and Takisho watch this all unfold. Diego then holds Suya's hands together, as is customary. Suya always wore a scarf. Daigo dresses her in the same way and shows it to make Takisho. Looking at them, it seems as if both of them are feeling very guilty because they called such a respectable job disgusting and considered it low. Humans are like that. We easily label any task as small, big, or high or low, but only when we ourselves need the person doing that work do we understand its importance, don't we? Both Make and Takisho realize this. Sayako's body is then placed in a crate. All the relatives weep profusely. Then the body is taken to the electric crematorium, where only Sayako's ashes come out. And Daigo, along with the old man Sayako, met in the public bathroom. Was a very good friend of Sayako. That old man works there. He too is deeply saddened by Sayako's death. With a stern heart, he sends Sayako's shop box inside the crematorium. To burn it, you have to press a button. Before pressing it, she says that after death, people leave this world and go to another world. I'll just be a gateway between this world and the other. I'll miss Sayako very much. Saying this, he finally presses the button. Everyone is very emotional, friends. But now Mika is proud of Diego's work. Friends, and she accepts it. A few months later, Diego takes Mika to the same river where he used to go with his family as a child. Diego says, "Look, as a child, I gave my father a pebble and in return, he gave me one as a memento. I've kept the pebble he gave me, but my father left me. He must have remarried. He probably has children too." On the one hand, Diego hates his father, friends. But on the other hand, he also loves him. That's why he's missing him. One day, while Diego was at work, a letter arrived. Mika read it and learned that Diego's father had passed away, and Diego had been called to his funeral. Mika tried to call Diego, but his phone was left at home. Mika had already called Yuriko at work to inform her. When Yuriko told Diego that his father had passed away and he had been called to his funeral, Diego said, "Why should I go? He's nothing to me." Meanwhile, Mika called again and told Diego, "I'm coming to your office. Let's go and see your father one last time." But Diego said, "He has other children too. They'll take care of everything. We don't need to go." Then Mika explained, "You know, your father was completely alone. He never remarried and didn't have any other children." Hearing this, Diego's face changed completely, and his hatred for his father diminished a little. But he still insists on not going to the funeral and disconnects the call. Yuriko then becomes very emotional and says, "Please, go and see your father." Yuriko actually has a tragic past, friends. She was in love with someone who promised to marry her. She even had a child with him. But he later left her. After that, Yuriko raised her child alone for 6 years. But then, she didn't have a job and couldn't raise her child. So she gave her child up for adoption to a childless couple. She says, "To this day, I regret being separated from my child." "Your father must be longing to see you, son. Go once. At least go to his funeral." Just then, Mecha arrives. Diego gives up his stubbornness and agrees to go. Ken then gives her the keys to his car and an expensive car he keeps at his agency. Diego and Mecha take him and leave in Ken's car. Finally, they arrive at Diego's father's house. There's a man who cared for his father during his final days. He explains that he left his mother and moved here 30 years ago. But he lived alone for all those years. But yes, he always talked about his family. especially his son. Hearing this, Daigo now realizes that perhaps he didn't try to understand his father. He made a mistake by hatting him. The man says that some people will arrive shortly to conduct the funeral. Please wait. After a while, the funeral team arrives and is about to quickly lift his father's body and place it in the coffin. They don't even perform the rituals properly. Daigo becomes angry at them. They say, "Listen, this is our job. Let us do it our way. Please step aside a little." With that, they quickly begin lifting the body. Daigo can't resist and goes to stop them, and Tamika tells them that they do the same thing. Then Daigo himself cleans his father's body. His father's hand is locked, and Daigo can't open it. With great difficulty, he pries his fist open, and a small pebble falls from his hand. This is the same stone that Daigo picked up on the riverbank as a child and gave it to his father. For so many years, his father had cherished it in memory of Daigo, and in his final moments, he held it tightly in his fist. Seeing this, poor Daigo is devastated. Tiago gives the stone to Mecha. Now he understands his father's love, that he never forgot Daigo, but Daigo had been carrying hatred for him in his heart for so many years. Realizing his mistake, tears flow from Diego's eyes. Crying profusely, he cleans his father's body properly. Until now, Daigo hadn't remembered his father's face, but now he can see his face clearly. It's then that he realizes he should have come and seen his father earlier. Seeing him do all this, Mika understands that he must have cleaned and cared for countless dead bodies. But today, while performing the last rites for his own father, his tears are unstoppable. Daigo feels as if his father might wake up any minute, so Mecha tries to calm him down and returns the pebble to him. Daigo examines the pebble carefully and then places it on Mika's stomach. Mika is pregnant, so perhaps Daigo feels that his father will be born as his child, and this is a very emotional scene, friends. This concludes the story. Tell us how you liked it. We'll see you in the next video. Take care. And finally, thanks for watching.